And there we go. Okay. Well, everybody, first off, let's introduce the newest member of my revolving cast of characters. This would be the little wolf dog. I'm Phoenix. Some of you may have met her before. I'm live. Stay the fuck out of my shot. You know, some of these people popping into my feed. But anyways, so besides the wolf dog, Phoenix, come on. Everybody wants to look at you. Look. All right, so she's about 2 now, everybody. So she's 2 years old, and we are down here at an undisclosed location that everyone's MD members can know where we are. But we have been doing some very innovative technology. Some of my friends have failed at these projects of integrating software into homes, but we are not failing. So what is Club Home, and what does that mean? So many lawsuits were fought when Uber did it to the taxis, but it magically benefited society, right? So you had magical major disruption of transportation, lowered cost, increased access out of an app. All right. So many of you know my journey and how people around me didn't pay me, didn't fucking appreciate, right? So they're not part of my projects anymore. Any of those folks that are watching, I hope you know how to come correct next time you ever deal with someone that's been like properly educated for about $1 million. Perhaps you should come with funds before you drag people along for years. Okay? Especially when your projects that you're trying to drag people along have things that might be federal crimes like pharmacy kickbacks and all that bullshit. But anyways, we're not going to go into that. Some of you guys know that, you know, I've had to ditch a lot of people along the way. But what does this mean, right? Club Home, okay? It means once you build technology like I've built, all right, you basically create a village. Some of you may have also forgotten that indeed I did graduate from medical school. Indeed, I did sleep in a hospital 6 days a week, basically, and do a year of surgical residency, right? So what happens in a hospital? Okay. Well, people have to come and go from the hospital. People have to eat at the hospital, right? People have to get things at the hospital, like medicine, different treatments, different providers come by, right? The little slaves of the hospital like me, you know, we have to get there at like 4 a.m, go see all the patients, come up with our plan, present that to the, the senior resident and then the attending, and then see what the attending's actually plan was. And then by 7, start pushing in all the orders and eat a shitty breakfast and then go keep doing that. Okay. So when you've actually been a surgical resident and not just like on a fucking boat in Florida worried about how much fucking drugs you can sell out of your shady family owned fucking pharmacy, by the way, I can't wait to fuck everybody up in court. It's going to be a fucking big ride. And there's a big reason everyone's being so quiet, because they know how fucked they are. All right. So next time, don't fuck with a surgical resident medical student from a big fucking proper family. Okay. So the YPO can come crawling through in front of everybody in LA and nationwide as we shake down why, they think they can do the things they do to people. All right. But the point here is that I kicked all the dead weight to the curb, and I have built software that is flying basically like a decentralized hospital. Okay. And so as we pop out more features onto everyone's MD and, more products into my plant medicine lines, whether it's CBD or, shrooms of the magical sort or the non-magical sort, right? They're all good for you. That's what we have. Okay. And so now what's going to start to happen, it's going to happen very quickly around the planet, is my digital hospital that I'm flying, okay, is going to start to be attached to physical locations. All right. So that physical location could be a military tent that goes, okay. If we have a COVID outbreak somewhere in the future, it could be containerized units that are put onto a train and transported like a Mercy ships on land. Okay. It could be a mansion where you walk in with your app and get checked into that location. All right. And then you are in a magical mansion where there's magical service providers and you get to hang out and do really cool shit. So this has been a 5-year build, millions of dollars of my time, and it's going to change how medicine is practiced. All right. So it's very cool stuff. And I'm super proud for this project to continue to develop. And for you watching out there, all right, how are we going to disrupt for the better? Well, all right, so COVID is out. All right. So my first extremely disruptive thing I do, and I do like to be disruptive because I don't give a fuck. All right. Because it is outrageous, right? Right. The level of stupidity going on in this country from my friends and I talk about it a lot, right? Right. Once you're actually like, use the plants we evolved with, okay, all of them, cannabis, psychedelics, poppies. You mean all the stuff that doctors used in plant medicine, natural form forever before corporate greedy interests told you, they're drugs. Actually, they're medicines, right? So for some reason, none of the treatments that work very well against viruses and COVID that have been done for an extremely long time. I'm talking like 100 some years. It's 2023 now, right? The Spanish influenza of 1919 was 1919. It's like 100 years ago. Okay. For some reason, there has been no broadcast by the Surgeon General of the United States about the things that work very well against COVID that you can basically do at your home. All right. And so I won't get into the exact protocol that we're going to deploy because it's just too easy to give away to copycats. But I can tell you right now, Scottsdale, Arizona, Vegas in a couple days, LA in about a week, Reno in a week, Miami in a couple weeks, and then we'll hit the East Coast. So I'm about to be on a nonstop jet or convoy across the U.S., basically working with different doctors on the ground in different locations. And so the treatment for COVID, all right, that is being done by a very select group of smart doctors that have been treating viruses this way for a very long time. Well, you see a doctor, okay, the treatment can basically be done, pretty much all of it, actually, you could pick up and do at home. All right, there's only one part of it that they only needed to do for some patients, all right, in the research studies. All right, but otherwise, you could literally pick it up, go home, and patients that were otherwise going to the hospital just follow the protocol and they start to feel better. So I'll get into what that actually means, all right, step by step, when I have a couple of the doctors on with me over the next week. But get ready, because when you realize how easy it is to treat COVID, okay, and then you remember how many of your friends died over the last few years, and how disruptive it was for you and your family or your small business, you're going to be really pissed off at why the government spent billions and billions and billions of dollars on this when it can be stopped for basically pennies. Okay. So that's a pretty cool thing to know about. I would say the treatment that is being done, unless you need to be intubated, is pretty much superior than any American emergency department. None of what we're doing is done in any major hospital, and that is very sad. So we're going to put the entire United States medical system to shame. All right, we're going to have about 5 sites across the United States up and running within a month or 2 at most, and that will pretty much make me an American fucking legend. All right, so America's biggest weed doctor, America's biggest psychedelic doctor. I don't know. Maybe I just eat my mushrooms or whatever, more than everyone else. But it is it's gonna change the game. So we'll be deploying out to other countries. We're gonna put the technology on solar panels. It can be done very easily with just a small amount of power. Doesn't take much. So that's pretty cool. And then, like you may have seen in some of my posts, it is true in certain cities where I have the clubhouses being set up. It is when you're an Everyone's MD member, it is just that easy. You press the button that says video chat us for transportation to Clubhouse. And then one of my big breast edited, very intelligent digital concierges, hopefully not me, I'm an ugly motherfucker. Okay, hopefully you get some hot chick named Jessica who's like, hello, and what location are you in and where would you like to go? And then she dispatches a car. And that car comes and gets you and it takes you to a mansion. And that mansion, well, once you're there, it's a private members club. You can order things. You can get medical treatments, spa treatments, all sorts of magical things. So, welcome to the future. The future will be autonomous driving cars, stuff like that. You're not going to be driving yourself anyways. You're going to be pushing buttons or whatever. So, that's pretty cool. My other little takeaway points here in this first little chat, back with all my gear set up and in a fat mansion like I should have been the whole proper time. Man, you guys that didn't, too bad y'all can't afford me. You couldn't, the people that fucking didn't pay me and my friends, you couldn't afford me. I'm $1 million a year salary sort of motherfucker, right? And corporate America, just like they've done to the American public, tried to steal from me for years. They tried to bury me. They tried to intimidate me and my family in court. Threaten me. All this shit. Called my mother. Good Lord. Right? So, just like corporate America pretty much takes a shit on the American public every day with the trash they feed you, the trash they advertise to you, the medical services, the overtaxation. We could just get into all the things. But, corporate America. And of course, now they've sent many of the jobs overseas, and now they're going to come back to you to fight for World War III. So that's a whole nother topic. But, these things are very apropos in my generation, who are the ones that are going to have to go, jump out of planes in China and Taiwan and, Ukraine and shit, and die while the United States goes and builds all the battleships that it doesn't have right now. By the way, if you guys aren't following that, the United States is about 10 years behind, in naval buildup power. That's how far we are, right? So, you might want to read about the war games of how it's going to go down with China. It's going to be a very bloody first part of the war when it happens, if you think it's going to happen. But as of now, it looks like it's going to happen, and the current leadership isn't negotiating at all properly, right? They're just basically watching a train wreck happen. So, anyways, lots of interesting things to talk about here, and we will have lots of the local folks from Scottsdale, Arizona coming in. We'll have different doctors. We'll have different parts of the decentralized healthcare system that I've put together for everybody coming through. So these are pretty fucking important things you might want to know about, okay? Hard hyperbaric chamber therapy. So if you happen to have a head injury, if you're a fighter and you want to perform better, if you are a long COVID patient, many things, all right? If your child has autism. So that's pretty cool. Boom. Click the app. Hard hyperbaric therapy, all right? What else? So you guys are following along, or you are actually, Everyone's MD members, I'll open up the COVID flow for the first couple cities over the next week. That'll be pretty sweet. And then tomorrow, in the next couple days, we will be testing the app out for some of the new features we're popping out, like food and beverage service out of the app. We've got a bunch of models and shit, the usual for the folks that know my background. So we'll be working with a wide variety of folks to get this really popping, from the socialites to the doctors to the health influencers. I might even have, some of my adult star friends coming along, because we all know they need proper health care as well. And for some of you that know me, you may know I've spent a little bit of time out in the California adult industries. You know, just helping out as much as I could. So I'm quite connected across many spaces. And yeah, let's say this is going to be a fun one, okay? So I spent a lot of time behind computers the last 4 or 5 years building this. And now I am on to, shall we say, Dr. D Unleashed. And, well, I guess I'm like a few miles away from ASU or something. So it should be a fun fall. All right, guys. So I'm going to like put on some music for me and see if that little function is working. And yes, indeed, I am the YPO's worst fucking nightmare, uniting the American public to fuck up corporate America for all the shit they've done to us. Shouldn't have made me live in a van and fucking be almost homeless for a few years, YPO. Get ready to eat shit. All right, guys. Peace out. I turned this one.